Are you feeling overwhelmed by endless notifications, news updates, and digital distractions? If so, you are not alone. But what if I told you there is a way to cut through the noise and take back control? So let's start off by talking about the hidden psychological effects of information overload. Here's the thing. Our brain, our body, our nervous system develops relatively slowly over thousands of years. Like the journey we've taken from apes to become human beings has not been a quick journey. If we look at the speed of how much information is hitting our mind and our nervous system now, compared to 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago, that rate of change is enormous. Our brains and our nervous systems have not adapted to that overload of information. There are therefore impacts. Now, we may have normalized, or we think we've normalized, to these impacts, but it does not mean that they are healthy, and it does not mean we want them to continue in our lives. Things like anxiety. We just get used to always being on edge because there's always just too much information. Or depression. It's like the information overload results in an internal shutdown. Like it's just too much and we feel this sense of hopelessness and pointlessness in our life. Or addictions. We try to self-medicate all of this stimulation to try to down-regulate and to calm our system. My point in this video is not that we just turn everything off, we go and live in a cave and we disconnect from the world. Of course, we need to stay plugged in to friends, to family. We want to have an idea of what's happening in the world. But the important thing is we want to intentionally use devices and use social media and access the news, not have it use us. It is so easy to get in destructive, unhelpful habits simply by not being aware. We have to be intentional in creating change. The first thing is we need to diagnose the problem. Once we've become aware of it, we need to do a reset, what might be called a digital detox. Now, at the extreme, what this may be is we uninstall certain apps, maybe we only use our phone during certain points in the day. Really what we're doing is we are choosing to be intentional about how we let information come to us. My personal experience, and I've heard this reported by many other people, has been they are surprised at how hard it is to do this. The fact that it's hard tells us something. It tells us that we are addicted to that thing. Now, sometimes that in of itself is really helpful to see because the idea that we have an addiction can be its own motivation to break free of that and to have some choice. But the first step here is we need to break the habit of how we let these things consume us so we consume them intentionally. Here's the second piece. Disconnection feeds disconnection. When we are disconnected from ourselves, we are more likely to choose habits and behaviors that further disconnect us. So an example might be, we come home from work, we're drained, we feel flat inside, we then eat crap food. That crap food raises our cortisol, our blood sugar, we feel irritable, so then we end up watching some crap TV. Then we end up going to bed much later than we planned to. Then we don't sleep very well. Then we wake up the next morning exhausted, and then we hit a bunch of stimulants, be it coffee, sugar, whatever, to wake us up and to get us going. So the more disconnected we are, the more we make choices that typically further disconnect us. But connection feeds connection. If you can start to incorporate into your life some practices and habits that help you connect to yourself, meditation and mindfulness will be very helpful. And you're here on my YouTube channel, you can find a bunch of guided meditations. But a practice that helps you to connect will help you make more choices that support you connecting further. To go back to our previous example, you get back from that day of work and you feel depleted and drained, and you realize that you need to connect. And before you do anything else, you spend 20 minutes soaking in a hot bath. And then rather than just numbing out watching crap TV, maybe you put on some music and you do some stretching, whatever it is that works for you. But my point is, the more we connect to ourselves and we disconnect from all of the stimulation, the easier it becomes to stay connected to ourselves. Here's my third and final point. If we can start to have clear goals, clear things we want to work towards in our lives, and to think about how we can use all of that time, it changes our relationship to that time. Suddenly that time is a precious asset to help us move forward to this thing that matters to us, as opposed to dead time to numb out and to have that time wasted. Our life is precious. Your life is precious. My invitation to you is to be intentional of how you use your time and ultimately to learn to stand guard at the door of your own mind and at the door of your own nervous system, and intentionally choose how you use your time and your energy. What helps support you stay more connected? And if you've had the experience of disconnecting from all of this information overload, what's that been like for you? Thank you for watching.